And we are live once again with another episode of Frontera Radio. I am your host, Sergio Mora. Thank you for joining us. I have a very good friend of mine who is a guest today, someone that I've known for a long time now, and who I collaborate with on a weekly basis, and someone who is probably no stranger to you, and that is my good friend Ruben Villarreal from KGNS. Ruben, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Serge, thank you very much for inviting me to be here. As I mentioned before we started recording, this is very weird for me because I'm the one that's always asking the questions. So I'm a little worried, to be honest with
I've been planning this for a long time. I've been wanting to get back at you.
Yeah.
And so now you're here, and it's my turn, man.
Yes, sir. That's what worries me.
My friend, Ruben, we see each other on a weekly basis on Beyond the Headlines on KGNS. You burst onto the scene at a very crazy time in our history as a city, and that was during the pandemic. In terms of I think you were brought on, and you started this digital version of KGNS, the digital news desk, and it wasn't because of the pandemic, but all of a sudden, because of the pandemic, it became an extremely important platform for the city in terms of the digital news desk. Everybody was glued to it because the pandemic hit, and you obviously brought all these doctors on and all this wealth of information. You kept the citizens informed. Everybody was terrified of what it was. Nobody knew what was going on, and everybody turned to the digital news desk. Man, I remember during those times.
It was surreal.
It was surreal, yeah.
Yeah. Again, thanks, Sergio, for inviting me. I'll take you back to 2019.
Yeah, please.
When I sat with Jerry and Luis Villarreal, general manager for KGNS, Jerry Garza, news director. They wanted to launch this digital product.
Yeah.
I was hired specifically for that. Mm-hmm. This was in November of 2019. It hadn't even been set up yet.
4 months before.
Yeah.
4 or 5 months before.
Yeah. So in the meantime, I was learning the TV business because my previous career was in radio for 25 years. And so I'm just kind of getting to understand how television works and everything behind it in the newsroom. And then finally in 2020, March the 3rd, which was election day, primary election day, we launched. To much success. I don't remember the numbers, but I know that the broadcast was on at political headquarters. People were watching because we covered the election starting at 7:00 that night.
Yeah.
So it went really well. The launch went really well. At that time, we weren't going Facebook. It was just to the app and to the website.
Yes.
That went really well. And then it was like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this now? Yeah. It was one of those, am I supposed to do this every day, every weekday? You know, I didn't know what we were supposed to do with it. And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And it was like
just
baptism by fire, man. Yeah. You need to get on and start covering this. And I don't even remember how I started doing it, but really what kickstarted it was those media briefings. Right. You recall they had those media briefings every day. Yeah. And initially we would attend the briefing, and then I would come on and summarize what had happened.
Yeah.
Well, we decided to ask, I think Luis asked Steve Landin, who was still with the city at that point. He was the EOC.
Fire.
He was the head of the fire department. He was also the emergency operations.
Yeah.
So Luis asked him, can we just air this? He said, yeah. So we only asked him about the one time. We didn't really ask him about anything after that. But we ran the first one, and we just kept airing it live. And it was interesting, Serge, because at that point I had already started bringing them to Facebook as well. It was interesting to see the dynamic change when all of these people that were in the briefing, the city officials and everybody else, started to realize that people were watching them on social media. It really changed the media briefings itself because all of a sudden some of them were performing. I'm not gonna lie. It definitely looked like they knew they were being watched on social media and they were reading the comments. And so you've got this horrible tragedy going on, you know, people dying, but yet they realized we're getting a lot of attention for this, and some of them started realizing, you know, I'm on social media.
I mean, I don't want to say him, but the mayor is mayor because of his performance during the pandemic, and a lot had to do with his the way of him presenting the information and stoically and not falling for the drama.
Exactly, the politics.
Yeah.
Dr. Trevino, I had him on frequently, as you know.
Exactly.
He was, him and his son, we were in constant communication. If there was anything important out there, he was ready to go on a moment's notice.
Yeah.
I never looked at it as how he did it or what he was doing. I mean, I looked at it as he was providing information that was extremely necessary. And,
exactly.
And as you say, it might have actually played a big part in why he become.
I speaking from the political side, it had everything to do with it.
Yeah. But there were people, you know, and I'm just looking at Facebook.
Yeah.
You know, we would have thousands of people logged in at a time.
Thousands, man.
Yeah. And I was getting messages left and right. People wanted to know this. They wanted to know that. There was that first month I worked every day.
Yeah.
Not 8 hours a day, but because they were doing it on the weekend too.
Yeah.
I had to come in on the weekends and bring that to the audience. And yeah, I'll get stopped by people and say, "Man, you're the guy from COVID." I'm like, okay. Yeah.
The COVID guy.
And it's interesting, Serge, but I was just doing my job.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like I was like, "Oh, I've got to do
I've
this.
got to do this
Mr.
for the
COVID.
community."
No. I mean, I'm doing my job.
Yeah. That's what you were asked to do. And the job just dramatically changed.
Yep.
The world dramatically changed.
I like that phrase, baptism by fire, because that's what it was.
Completely, man. I remember those days. How would you, I just got, I don't want to say nostalgic because nostalgia is generally a positive feeling, but I just remember those days. I mean, a lot of people that's why the remote work thing just stuck was because everybody stayed home, but you guys didn't have that option.
No, we didn't.
How did that feel and how did that go? I mean, what were your thoughts on that?
I didn't think twice about it, Sergio. Excuse me. I didn't think twice about it. I mean, it was what I had to do. I mean, everybody was staying home, but I didn't mind. I mean, it was, I don't know.
You weren't worried?
No, not at all. I mean, we were, if you recall, I mean, because I'm on the digital side. I'm not on the news side yet. I'm not on the anchor desk. And by the way, that's two totally, sorry.
No worries.
That's two totally different worlds. Entities. Yeah. I mean, the newscast, you've got to get all that information and get it into a newscast that's timed, you know, to the second.
So basically just highlights of stuff.
Yeah, you know, which
not a whole lot in depth.
Right. But at the same time, yes, it's hard to explain. It's just two different delivery systems, right?
Of course.
But if you recall, you know, the news anchors, a lot of them started doing the news from their homes.
Yeah.
So at one point, it was me, Mindy, Heatwave, and somebody else at the building. That was it.
That was it.
Like it was we called it our little bubble.
Big cavernous.
Yeah. But I wasn't scared. I don't know. I can be very, I want to say callous, but I don't give things a lot of thought. I just do things. And sometimes that's a bad thing, right? I don't give things thought.
I actually think that's a good thing. Yeah. I think that's the best way.
But it wasn't like, oh man, I can't believe they're making me go in. I've got to cover. No, it was just.
You just roll with it.
Yeah.
I remember that last Beyond the Headlines like a week before, man. And I remember that it was the health director at that time who resigned quickly after. I don't
already forgot his name.
Yeah.
Gonzalez?
Something like that. But I remember he's like, yeah, there's nothing to worry about. Just wash your hands. And everyone's like, okay, cool. Like,
All right. You can make. I remember doing things like, oh, let me show you how to make your own gel. Because it was starting to fly off the shelves, and it was like
the toilet paper scare.
You know what I remember is all the memes about Corona.
Yeah.
Initially, all the memes about the Corona and the it was like, and then it was like, whoa.
Then it was just this is very serious stuff we're dealing with,
to say the very least. Yeah,
and I mean, they just said that the how it affected the culture and the politics and every aspect of our lives, and I think the changes have been sort of permanent, and we're dealing with, and they're very running deep in our politics. But we'll get into that in a little bit. I wanted to talk to you about you. You obviously do the digital newscast, news desk. I'm sorry. But you recently started a podcast there on KGNS, and it's one of various different podcasts that you guys are working on and have come up with and deal with different topics. And
are they called podcasts? I don't know what to call it.
I assume so. I mean, you guys use podcasting equipment, and
what's considered a podcast? See, I always have to turn around and start asking questions, right? So, Sergio, what's considered a podcast?
I don't know if there's a clinical sort of definition, but basically, it's somebody just setting up either audio equipment or audio and video equipment and recording what used to be a radio talk show.
Yeah.
But it's now for the digital age, and it's packaged to run on these digital platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and then you have the audio-only platforms, which are very big and very important, the Spotifys and the Google Podcasts and all of that. And man, I've heard that it's a humongous thing in terms of like the amount of people that actually listen to podcasts. It's a thing that's not going away. And obviously you have like the major players, and you have the Joe Rogans, and you have and I think they obviously suck up the majority of the oxygen. But then you have a lot of local podcasts that deal with local issues like this one, and you have themed podcasts that deal with a specific subject.
Okay, we'll call it a podcast.
I think so, right?
But you know what? It's a passion for some people.
Yeah.
And they don't care how many people are watching in some cases. They just they get an opportunity to put something together like this.
Of course.
And talk about what they love or do something they love. But you're very well received. You're very well respected.
Thank you.
I know you've got a lot of we've had a lot of really good interviews with a lot of people watching. But there are people that just do it for the.
You bring up a very good point. I saw somebody, I don't remember who it was. Tom Segura is a famous comedian and podcaster. In a clip I saw recently, he says, well, the thing is that before, if you wanted to be something or do something, you had to go through the gatekeepers in terms of like, if you wanted to get on TV, like you had to be picked by a producer, a director, a news director, or whatever. If you wanted to be a recording artist, you had to, a music company had to just give you an opportunity. And if you wanted to be a boxer, he's like, now you could set up your phone on a stand and just start knocking the shit out of someone, and you're a boxer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
there was like a chain of command.
Yeah,
it's like having a boss, and you've got to go through the proper channels, and but no, it's not that anymore. I mean, just look at TikTok.
Exactly. I mean, how many people? I'm not saying you're going to be a good boxer or a famous boxer or a great singer. I mean, you might suck and nobody's gonna tune in. But how many big names have risen through that ecosystem now compared to the traditional ecosystem?
I've lost track. I mean, it was just too much at one point.
It's too much.
I stopped. I mean,
exactly.
Anybody can become famous instantly. And there are people that do it without becoming famous because they love what they do. Because they can set up the phone and sing or box, even if they suck at it. You know, I mean, they can do whatever they want. I want to go back, Sergio, and I've got to I got to toe the company line. You know, I got the KGNS Plus shirt.
You have to plug, man.
Well, no, and I do it because obviously they sign my checks.
Of course, yeah.
But it's more than that. You know, KGNS, great television, is investing a lot of money in this market. As you know, we're moving by the end of the year
Yes.
I mean, if you look at other media companies here, they're downsizing or have downsized.
Or disappeared.
Yeah. Gray Television is on the opposite side of that. And just so for those who don't know, we've got KGNS Plus is everything, because we're not just KGNS. You know, we've got Telemundo, we've got English and Spanish newscasts. So Gray Television is English newscasts, Spanish newscasts. I do 2 newscasts. We've got English, Spanish. Social media. We're everywhere, and I don't mean that as a plug, although it is a plug. But I do need to thank Ruben Villarreal and Gray Television, and I wouldn't have this opportunity if it weren't for them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to do what you're doing here and set up this project that I'm working on were not for them. So I have to just at least tell people that, Gray Television is investing a lot of money in Laredo. This new facility is going to be state of the art, bigger and better. And so I think that should be recognized, because
I've seen the pictures, man. They're amazing. Yeah. The mock-ups.
I'm a little worried, but we got to learn how to do new things. So, but anyway, this podcast is because, as you know, and we've been talking about, the digital world is really
upon us.
Yeah.
But at the
it's
same
been
time,
upon us.
the opportunities that it affords.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so we've been encouraged to come up with projects that can be uploaded to our website, because we need more eyeballs on the website. Projects that need to be uploaded to YouTube, because we need more eyeballs on YouTube. We're late in the game, I would say. I hope they don't mind me saying that, but we're late in the game on YouTube. We just recently started working on that some more. We got a big bump from the Burgos trial.
Yeah.
That got us a lot of subscribers. Not a lot. I mean, we're just getting started. But anyway, we're late to the game, but now we're given the opportunity. We've been told, if there's something you want to work on that can be uploaded to our digital platforms, let us know. And so that's what I'm doing.
That's a great sort of policy, man, to just
unleash
the creativity of your employees in that manner.
Yeah, and the ones that jumped on it right away were Jocelyn Gallardo and Brenda Camacho. Top off the clock.
Yeah, pop culture.
They've been dying to do
aspect.
something, and they've been on that since a while back. Other things that we've uploaded so far, Mindy does her Foodie Friday for the morning news for KGNS News Today, and a DIY. Those are 2 projects with Laredo College.
Yeah.
So that's what's on there for so far, and now my In Search of Miracles.
Well, the Alzheimer's deal.
Alzheimer's together. Yeah. I don't think we put that on the website, although we should. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I only recently started not uploading, actually broadcasting live on YouTube from the digital news desk. Okay. I just got all that access and have started doing that. And I've been telling the people that are on Facebook, I'm not coming to Facebook much longer.
So you're
I'm leaving Facebook for the digital news desk. It'll just be the app, the website, and the YouTube channel.
Why is that?
Because we can't make money off of Facebook.
Okay.
Facebook makes money off of us.
Yeah.
Facebook makes money off of everybody.
Yeah, of course.
So
we're the product.
Yeah. So we can monetize YouTube, and I'm not sure I'm supposed to share that, but we can make money off of YouTube. I think we can't make it off of Facebook.
Yeah, that's sort of well known,
but we go back to the COVID surge, and it was just a matter of getting the information out there. Well, so I was allowed to do Facebook, and it kind of became part of what I was. And even today, people will ask me, "Can I do one of your Facebook interviews?" Like, yeah, but
what I think that though, and certainly, I think it applies to Laredo more concentrated than other cities, in that Facebook is the town square here. Like everybody's in there.
For a certain age group, though.
For a certain age group, but
Instagram is a different age group. TikTok is a whole other.
For a different age group, but you're talking about the age groups that are civically engaged.
Yeah, that's true. Because it lends itself to that more.
Yeah.
Instagram, I don't see that. Instagram's more of a let's have fun kind of. At least that's the way I perceive it. But I'm not on Instagram a lot, so I shouldn't.
Yeah, but it's not a platform where you have debates and you argue.
No, it's not. And Facebook is.
And Facebook is completely way too much. And I think they've tweaked it to make it less rambunctious.
I was thinking about this the other day, and we have become, how can I put this? I don't know why I was thinking about this, but because of places like Facebook, we now know how everybody has felt for the last
of course,
umpteen thousands of years. Before, we didn't know. We suspected there was some strange people in this world, or evil people in this world, or good people in this world, but we didn't know. Now we literally know how everybody feels all the time.
We do, man, and that's something that's interesting about Facebook. And that, and I tell people, I've always been a news junkie. You've always been a news junkie, Jerry. A lot of the people we know, but not the population at large. In terms of before Facebook, to be exposed to news, you actually had to go look for it. You had to go tune into your newscast or type in LMT Online or NewYorkTimes.com or like you needed to go look for it, you know? And when social media and Facebook in particular came around, all of a sudden it was in your face, even if you were never into it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like Facebook has this deal where drips, like post here. And all of a sudden, all these people that were never really into the news started getting into it. You know, because they were all of a sudden exposed to it. So I think that everybody became more political, like the world became more political in general. And then you had a lot of these people that were never into news believing all these misinformation, sometimes deliberate, sometimes not deliberate. And so it just opened up, I mean, this whole can of worms.
It's a strange new world.
It's a strange new world, really exactly. But I wanted to ask you, Ruben, about this project.
Sure.
Miracles. And it ties obviously very deeply into something that I and a lot of people have known about you, in that you're your religion is your faith is a big part of your life. Tell us about it in terms of like what it is, how you came up with it, and how you went about getting it approved and producing the first episodes and where you are now.
It's really in its infancy.
Yeah.
But I was, while I am a practicing Catholic, I have not always been a practicing Catholic. I've fallen away. I've come back, fallen away again. I've come back, but I always come back. Always. And that goes back to probably my parents having me at Mary Help from kinder through 8th grade. I'm always coming back, and every time it's at a different level, spiritual level, I would like to think. And so I'd fallen away again recently. And realized that that's just not the way my life needs to be, that I needed to have God at the center of my life, Jesus at the center of my life. And so here I am again, practicing my faith. And we're called to evangelize. As Christians, we're called to evangelize. So one of the things that I also did during the pandemic, Sergio, was I started a Facebook rosary. I'd been on KHOY, was volunteering on KHOY for 2 years. After I left KHOY, I felt like, wow, how do I evangelize now? So I started doing a Facebook rosary. I did that for a good, I don't even know how long, but for a while there, we were doing it every day.
I've watched. I remember very well.
Yeah. I just recently ran into a woman, and she was like, we used to pray with you during the pandemic. My daughter, I took a picture with her daughter because the daughter, she said, my daughter used to cry. So I started doing that.
Well, I mean, just the creativeness of like using technology to evangelize.
But it's easy. I mean, I just go live and pray a rosary. I mean, I know how to pray a rosary. And surprisingly, a lot of people don't. I mean, I say surprisingly because, I mean, who doesn't know how to pray a rosary? But there are people that don't know how to pray a rosary. I take it for granted, which is wrong.
I think I'm rusty on my rosary praying skills.
So again, recently I fell away again, but I had to come back because the only time there's peace in my life is when Jesus is at the center of it.
Okay.
So anyway, I started up the rosary again on Sundays at 9. So on my Facebook page, you can pray the rosary with us at 9 o'clock on Sundays. I only do it once a week now because of my schedule.
Yeah.
I wish I could do it more, and maybe I will at some point, maybe at least another time during the week. But as you know, I wake up at 3 a.m. every day.
Yeah.
I'm working 2 jobs. It's really difficult for me to do. Sunday's good because I've slept, and yeah, I'm up late, but I've already slept. So anyway, so I started that up again, but I wanted to do more, and I asked Jesus, you know, what do I do? I want to evangelize more. What can I do to evangelize more? And when I say I asked Jesus, I didn't hear Jesus answer me. It's just he can. I mean, he's Jesus.
Pray the rosary on Facebook. Ruben.
Yeah. No, it wasn't like that as far as this project. When you ask Jesus for something, you might often feel him in your heart. I mean, you just know. I don't know how to explain that.
Like an impulse, like an instinct.
Yeah, you just know it's Jesus telling you. So anyway, I had asked him, what do I do to evangelize more? And I was on Facebook one day, and somebody posted something about they had prayed for something, and I think the post was, and one day I'll tell him that he actually helped me with this. He doesn't know.
He inspired you.
Yeah, I think he said something like, when you want a miracle, you should ask Mother Mary. And anyway, it was very random, and I just got this feeling, miracles.
Oh, that's how God speaks to you.
Yeah. It's divine intervention. I'm not going to take credit for anything that I do. It's the Holy Spirit. Anything that is on the good side, you know, the bad stuff, that's me. The good side, that's the Holy Spirit. You know, when you know, everything that I do that is for the faith, that's the Holy Spirit at work, not me. I'm just the instrument. I've been given a gift.
The Holy Spirit works through you.
Yes, because for a long time I didn't want to admit that I had a gift until one day I realized you've got a gift and you're supposed to be using it
completely.
Then that changes it, because then it's not about you, it's about anyway. So the Holy Spirit put this idea in my head about miracles, and it came together really quickly because I have the trust of Jerry and Luis. Yeah. They don't want to see a pilot program or anything. I just knew that what I wanted to do was share people's stories. Has a miracle happened in your life? Do you believe in miracles? Has one occurred in your life? I want to share your story. Why? Because I feel that by sharing these stories, we can provide hope for others.
Of course.
Who knows what stage they are in their life? Maybe they're at a stage where they have no faith whatsoever. Maybe they're at a stage where they're on the verge of becoming more faithful. Whatever the case may be, Sergio, if I can provide hope through other stories of miracles that have happened in people's lives, that's the goal. And so that's how it came together. I cannot take credit for the title, In Search of Miracles. That was our morning show producer, Jose Gonzalez.
Oh, wow.
I had asked him, I knew what I needed. I said, look, hey, can you work on some monitors for me? A little intro, nothing complicated. And he's a master at that. He started putting it together, and he titled it In Search of Miracles. I was thinking of Miracles of Laredo. I had all these other titles. Jerry was like, let me think about it for a while. I've got to sit on it. And so and he just typed up In Search of Miracles. I love In Search of Miracles because it leaves it open to discernment for the viewer.
Yeah.
We're searching. I'm sharing. It's up to you whether you want to believe or not.
Yeah.
I know what I believe. I believe in a God of miracles. Yeah. So I like the title, In Search of Miracles. I'm searching. I'm sharing. You decide.
Yeah.
So I want to say all of this came together within about the last 3 weeks, Serge, and only because of my schedule. It took me a little longer to get the first episode launched. At that point, I had the go-ahead. I announced it on social media, and I said, look, this is what I'm looking for. If you've had a miracle in your life, small, large, physical healing, spiritual healing, whatever the case may be, let me know. And so I started going through that process.
So you weren't looking for an idea, like it's sort of...
No.
It's sort of, you came across.
Yeah,
this.
I'm not creative. I'm not creative. So the idea wasn't going to come from me. So that's how I know it's from...
Like you weren't like, oh man, okay, I got to do a religious podcast. Let me think.
I wanted to evangelize more.
Yeah.
I was doing my Sunday rosaries. I am doing my Sunday rosaries again. But I wanted to do more. And yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what miracles have you heard? What miracles have you talked about?
Well, I just started. So the first episode, Barbara's story, She was one of the first to contact me. She died twice.
Died twice.
Yeah. And the first time she was brought back. The second time, she says God brought her back. So that's her story. I'll let people tune in. I've heard about little miracles. The one that the second episode, almost, I mean, I wanted to cry.
Yeah.
A woman, and I'm giving you a preview because it's not even out yet. She had her baby. She was having a normal pregnancy, and all of a sudden something happened, and her baby was born at 25 weeks. Was not fully developed. I mean, she showed me pictures, and I share them on this next episode. And the baby is alive and kicking today and extremely healthy. So I've got another story where, and I don't want to share much because here's what I'm coming across. People have stories, but they don't really always want to sit down and share them with you.
Yeah.
Not because they're shy or they don't want to be on camera or whatever the case may be. So this is what I'm going through. I'm hearing from people, but I'm having to decide, okay, is this person going to come in? Is this person not? So another gentleman who has an altar server, and again, I'm supposed to get him in, but I haven't been able to nail him down, who witnessed a miracle as an altar server at San Agustin Cathedral. And it just involves a statue. That's all I'll say.
Oh, those are.
Yeah. And it wasn't just him. It was him, his brother, and another young fellow.
Really?
I'm trying to get him to get his story in. A lot of them have to do with health, Sergio. You know, my husband was hopeless. You know, they had said he's not coming back, and he's alive today. I've already got one that's in the can, ready to go. So I'll probably upload it this week. And I've already got another one that I'm excited to record because it's not a healing. It's not somebody dying. It's somebody that lost something, and it was very valuable to their child. And it's about the whole process as to how it was found.
Oh, interesting.
It's a beautiful story because it's not like I want to say more, but you've got to watch. But it's not, oh, my so-and-so died or they were sitting. It's nothing like that. But it's going to be perfect.
Oh man, I think that those stories lift anybody up, man. Like,
how can they not?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I have hope in the resurrection.
Even if you're skeptical, like you hear something like that and you're like, well, I
mean, if we don't have hope, Sergio, what do we have?
Exactly. What were you saying about resurrection? I'm sorry.
Oh, I mean, as a Catholic, my hope is in the resurrection. I mean, this journey here, this is very short, our time here on earth. Our purpose here on earth, if you were to ask me, Sergio, what's your purpose in life?
What's your purpose in life?
To get to heaven.
Okay.
Because heaven and hell are eternal.
Okay.
Your soul is there
permanent,
forever.
Yeah.
So what we do here affects how we spend eternity. So my hope is in that. If I didn't have that, and that's why I always come back to the faith, because if I don't have hope in that, what's my hope in? Owning property? I don't own property. I'm not at all. I'm renting. What is my hope going to be in? A home, a mansion?
Oh, I think that's misguided.
Yeah, I mean, and so I think that's why I always come back, because Jesus to me he said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life," and I fully believe that. And I would have to share my story one day because it's a lifelong story. But my story is that I'm always coming back to Christ because that's the only time there's peace in my life. So yeah, these stories have to give people hope, I would think. Not everybody though, and I'll tell you something, because you said skeptical, right? So I released the first episode and I posted on social media. I decided to do an ad post on my KGNS Facebook. I've never done it before. I just thought I'd try. Not a whole lot of money, like $35, I think.
Yeah. That'll get you a good distance.
I put, how, I know you know how Facebook works. You can put an option to send a message.
Yes.
I put the send message on Instagram, on Messenger option, and I've gotten already at least 2 or 3 very ugly responses.
Why?
You talked about skepticism.
Yeah.
I guess I could have read them to you, but one saying miracles don't exist. One guy saying that, you should kill cats. Yeah, I mean, some very strange stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of. So it's not going to provide hope for everybody. It's going to provide hope for those who need it.
Well, I mean, the first one sounded like the guy's not.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's understandable.
A soul that needs saving. The cat one sounded like he was messing with you.
I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to let people send me messages. I think I'll stick with stories locally.
But man, I wanted to, you brought up a point. I went to Ursuline since I was a kid, and then St. Augustine, so I am well versed the Catholic faith, and all the stories of the very religious deal with those kinds of scenarios where they leave and come back, and those are in my memories of my religious training during.
Is that what we call it? Religious training? Yeah, right. That's hey, well, it's a spiritual battle, so you're training.
I had my Bible, man, and tab. Do you remember the little tabs that had?
Yeah.
Ezekiel and all.
Now you have the Bible app.
Yeah, now you have.
I want to be clear about something, Sergio, because I don't want to come across as I'm holier than thou, because I'm not.
Yeah. I think that comes.
And I have been even recently not a good person. And so there are certain people that are going to watch this and say, this guy's full of it, because I know what he did. Yeah, you're right. I did do that. I was this person, but.
Well, that's what I'm getting at, is that these stories of redemption and finding God after tough times, you know, I think that is the gist of what I remember.
Yeah.
The
that
faith
from your religious training.
The faith, the faith being about, man.
Because conversion is a daily process.
Yeah.
You know, you have to convert your life every day. Yeah. It's a daily occurrence, you know, and I can say I've been at this since, you know, either kindergarten. I left the faith at 18, because at 18 I said, I've been going to Mass every Sunday because my parents wanted me to. Now I'm going to go to Mass when I want to. And so I stayed away because of that.
Yeah.
And then.
But that was a youthful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my reversion to the faith in my 20s, you know, that I think that is when it really started to what I'm at now. So it's been a very long process, because I started the reversion process in my 20s. Like I said, fell away, came back, fell away, came back. I hope it sticks this time, because I'm 53, Serge, and I don't want to, you know, I don't want to fall away again and then I die, because then you know where I'm going.
I think, I'm 44. And I think that as we age, we sort of are attracted to the spiritual in general. You become, I mean, life hits you, and you start questioning, like, why is this happening, or why am I in this state? And I think that is the process in general. And I think that you become more reflective as you age, more wise. Obviously, you've seen a lot, you've done a lot, and so no, I think that that is the way this plays out, man.
And that's a lesson, because how blessed are we to still be around at 44, at 53, to have this opportunity to convert our lives, because how many people die at 21? How many people die at 15? How many people die at 3 months?
Yeah.
Obviously a 3-month-old is not, you know, they're not responsible for their soul at that point. But I mean, how many people have not had the opportunity to live to 44 or to 53 to realize and to gain that wisdom necessary to hopefully turn your life around? So we're blessed, and we have to take advantage of that opportunity, that we're still here to be able to say, okay, God, I got to get this right, because I don't want to be in the fiery pits of hell for eternity.
Yes, the afterlife is obviously a big factor. But at the same time, I think it's just quest for happiness, for contentness. I think what happens a lot is that even the people that achieve material success still don't feel content, don't feel that it's what we were put on this earth to do, you know. And that's when you start, you know.
How many suicides have we seen of people who, we thought they had it all?
Yeah, of course.
You know, I mean,
definitely.
We can go down the list. People
completely.
that have fame,
completely.
Fortune. How many of them have died by suicide because they're not happy?
And a lot of the people that you see, they're like I got everything I ever wanted, and I still was lacking, still wasn't complete, you know. And I think that is the road also for some.
There's a quote or a theory that I fall back on, and I never remember, unfortunately. But the gist of it is that, okay, so let's say I'm wrong about God and eternal life. Okay, what did I lose? You know, if I'm right, I gain heaven.
Yeah.
You know, but if I don't believe in eternal life and God, and I lose, what's the result?
Yeah.
If you're right about there being no God, you're still gonna die. You know, but what'd you gain from being? I'm totally. I shouldn't have gone there because there's a very specific quote, and I can't remember the person that is attributed to. But you know, you do question, what if I'm wrong? What if there is no God? What if I'm doing all this and there's no God? And I die and you just cease to exist?
I don't think so.
No, but that goes through your head. I mean, that's called doubt. I mean, we all doubt.
Well, I think that we as a humanity, as how we've progressed, we got to the point where our technological and scientific progress was so big, and the views on science in terms of, there was this thing like, okay, no, this is about science, and science, there's no room for God. You know, either you're with Darwin or you're with God, you know? And I think that science has evolved as science evolved. Then you started, okay, we zoomed at that microscope as far as we could, and we can't explain what's there. Science can't explain what undergirds everything, you know? And you get into quantum physics and you get into all that, but science is coming back around and saying, no, there is a force that guides the universe, you know.
But as a person of faith, you're going to doubt, and I mean, I'm not going to say that I never do. I mean, I always doubt. I mean, but I know this. I know this to be true. In my life, I've gone the other way, and I've gone God's way. Yeah. My life is a lot better when I go God's way. So even if I'm wrong,
well, what's the other way, in your opinion?
In my opinion, as a Catholic, not practicing my faith, not being in a state of grace. As a Catholic, if you're not in a state of grace, that means you've got mortal sins on your soul without having gone to confession. Just turning away from God.
But is it also giving into the ego?
Material,
lusting after fame and fortune, and you know,
all of that,
material
anything
success
that is not of God. I mean, well, everything that does not everything that isn't going to get you to heaven, basically.
Okay.
So I've been that side on more than one occasions, and it doesn't go well for me. Yeah. This goes well for me, and I pray and I ask for prayers that I continue this path. Because
how would you describe going well for you?
That's a good question.
Like a feeling of contentment,
just peace.
Peace.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm tired. I mean, my days are long. But I feel good. I'm at peace. You know, because
I think that's the end game, man.
I struggle with finances. I struggle with a lot of things, but I'm okay.
But it doesn't consume you.
No.
Got it.
And when I'm not with God, it consumes me.
Yeah, got it.
And when I turn away from God, it comes back and bites me in the ass. That's a fact. And so if I'm wrong, so be it. But at least right now in my life, and I have to be in peace because I've got 4 kids, 2 of them older, 2 of them younger. I got 2 daughters that live with me, an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old. If I'm not at peace, and I failed them on more than one occasion, even recently. Okay. And this time around, you know, I'm gonna fail them in little ways, but I'm not gonna fail them again. I mean, my job is to my purpose is to get to heaven, to bring as many other people as I can with me. Yeah. And I've got a responsibility as a father to make sure my girls are taken care of, and my boys too. Although they're older.
Well, that's a very noble sentiment, man.
Well, I mean, it's and I can't do that if I'm not with God.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody, but it makes sense to me. And so
it makes complete sense, man.
And in the process of all of this, I'm trying to evangelize. And that's why this show is so important, because I want to provide hope for others. And by the way, this isn't a Catholic show. This isn't, I mean, the first woman that I interviewed, Barbara, she's not Catholic. I want to say she's Pentecostal.
Okay. What are your views on differences in not only Christian religions, but
I don't give it thoughts.
Other religions.
I don't give it thought, Serge, because I'm at the point in my life where I know what I know. I know what I believe to be true. And that's the path I'm following, because I'm running out of time.
You don't have time to think
I don't have time to think about everybody
dudes.
else. I'm not going to get into debate like, oh, this Christian faith is wrong. This Christian faith is wrong. I mean, the Catholic Church is...
There was 13 disciples, not 10.
Yeah, I mean, if I let my cat, do this, am I going to go to heaven? I'm not concerned about any of that. And I listen to a lot of shows. Like, one of my favorite shows is Catholic Answers.
Okay, what's that about?
It's an apologetics show.
What?
An apologetics, where they defend the faith and they answer all sorts of questions. And it's a great show. I love it. But sometimes there's topics that I'm like, I can't worry about that. I don't need to know. So if you ask me, what do I think about Pentecostals or Methodists or Baptists, I'm not going to say, because number one, I don't know about their faith. I don't know their faith. And this is what drives me crazy about people criticizing the Catholic Church. Yeah. I think it was Archbishop Fulton J. Sheen that said, there are not 1 million people that, see, I'm really bad about quoting people, but his point was,
a wise man just said.
Yeah, a wise man just said. It was so wise, I don't remember what he said. My recall is horrible, but his point is, there are millions of people that hate the Catholic Church based on something that is not true. Yeah. So people criticize the Catholic Church without knowing the true Catholic Church. So how am I going to go say, oh, the Baptists are this and that, if I don't even know their faith? Yeah. That's, how am I going to, we shouldn't judge anyone, period. Yeah. So that applies to faith as well. I'm not going to tell the Methodists you've got it wrong. I don't know what they believe. So, and people do that about the Catholic Church all the time. On our, the Marian doctrines, a lot of, Protestants have problems with the way we treat the Mother of God. Okay. Because they think we worship her. We do not worship the Mother of God. Okay. We simply ask for her intercession. She's the mother of Jesus Christ. Yeah. But people think that we worship her. So, so back to your original question, I don't have an opinion on everybody else, simply because I don't know what their faith is. But again, this isn't a Catholic show, so a miracle is a miracle in my book. Yeah. And I'm going to just take it one episode at a time and try to make sure that it's something that people are going to find hope in. I ramble a lot, don't I?
No. This has been great, man. But I do want to pivot a bit, but not that far away.
Go ahead.
Not that far away. I've known you for many years now, and we've worked together a lot. And where we work together on is beyond the headlines, and it's a very political show. Obviously, that's the gist of it. And you, I would just, what I've heard you talk about politics, I would definitely label you a conservative, like a real, genuine conservative, and not necessarily someone who's into the politics, but when you hear about the issues at hand, you automatically take a conservative view or standpoint. Yeah. Would you say that that's correct?
Yeah, I lean conservative.
Is that tied to your faith, would you say?
Yeah.
How? Yeah. Why?
Well, when people ask me, I got real bothered by the whole, are you Democrat or Republican?
And that's why I sort of meandered. Yeah.
It's like, are you Democrat or Republican?
That's why I didn't call you a Republican. I said conservative. Right?
Thank you, Sergio. When people ask me, are you Republican or Democrat? You got to decide. I said, no, I'm a Catholic. And as a Catholic, I'm not going to go to the Republican Party. I'm not going to go to the Democrat Party because the Democrat Party doesn't have everything right. The Republican Party doesn't have everything right. I look at things under the scope of my faith. Okay. And that's how I decide. And I'm guessing that I'm not guessing. I know that I lean conservative. Why that is? I mean, I will tell you that as a teenager, I want to say in high school, I was introduced to the Republican Party. I used to hang around with, not hang around with, but I would actually go to Republican events as a teenager. How or why that came about, I don't know. Do you remember Mrs. Suniga? Might have been in that, I believe she's passed away. I know her daughter, the Buckleys, kind of like those circles. I found myself, like not often.
William Buckley,
the Buckley family here.
Oh, okay.
No, the Buckley family here, and I shouldn't even be mentioning their name because I don't even know if I'm sure what I'm saying, but they were all part of at the time, the Republican Party, and I found myself at a meeting or two. Not like every week. I mean, and I was very young. But I don't know how that started.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why sometimes I lean that way.
Oh, you're saying that because you were exposed to it
at a young age. But at this point in my life, I can't say I lean to the Republican Party. I can't say I lean to the Democratic Party. I lean toward the faith, and that if that makes me conservative, then I guess that was really wishy-washy, man.
No, not really. Because I wouldn't say you're political at all, in terms of like.
That's why I'm the moderator on Beyond the Headlines.
And I think that you sort of, if there is some sort of like sentiment, you sort of, you keep it to yourself. You really had no appetite to jump into the chair bashing and the.
But there's another side of this surge, and that's cancel culture. I'm grateful that I work for a news organization because I really am not supposed to be, espousing my views. Is that the right word? Espousing?
Yeah.
I'm really not supposed to be doing that as a news person because we need to be partial and biased. And so I cannot go on social media and say, well, you don't want anything about this. I can't do that. And I'm glad because of cancel culture. And you know what worries me about cancel culture? This is going to affect what I'm trying to do on the evangelization side.
Okay, why?
Because let's say I speak out on something and people cancel me, well, then that's less people that I can evangelize to.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, that makes complete sense, man. I think that I personally think that we have it's gotten out of control, man. It's the pendulum swung to the other way in terms of it's a real thing and it's affecting a lot of creative people and a lot of
now if I had millions and millions and millions of followers, maybe it would be different. I'd think differently and I wasn't tied to a news organization, but I'm just going to choose not to. I think even saying cancel culture, you open yourself up to somebody saying, well, that's a conservative term. I mean, that's a Republican term. That's not you know what I'm saying? So even just saying cancel culture, you open yourself up to people criticizing you for saying that.
Well, I mean, yes, I think so. But at the same time, it's become part of the political warfare kind of thing. And that, yes, I think that the Republican Party uses it very effectively, but at the same time, sort of exaggerated and sort of like everything in politics, man.
Yeah.
But I think we do have an issue with like, hey, we're taking it a little bit too far.
And to me, if it affects what I'm trying to do on the evangelization side, then I'm not gonna take part in that because I don't, like I said, I'm running out of time to evangelize. So I got to stick to my guns. But I want to take you back, Sergio, to a very fiery argument we got into one day. I don't even remember when we were doing the Beyond the Headlines digitally.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And after that argument that you and I had, that it got really heated, I got labeled right at that moment. I mean, I was now a Republican. And I think that argument was more about emotion and more about the times that we were living in.
Yes.
And, I mean, it wasn't necessarily that I actually 100% was against you. It was just, there was just a lot of emotion overall at that time.
Oh, yeah.
But because of that one fight that we had, and I call it a fight because we were yelling. I don't know if you remember.
I remember, yeah.
I got labeled after that. And for a while, there would be comments on things that I would post like, well, Ruben, of course, because you're Republican. And it's like, so yeah. And that was just itty bitty, but.
Man, it's it's interesting, man, because we live in an area that's, and I think that sort of that time brought it out in terms of we got so invested into the national politics and stuff that really, I mean, it does affect us, but at the same time, it more has to do with what we were being exposed to in terms of the two sides going at it and people picking a side and so I think like the audience is like, okay, well, you're not on this side, you're on the other side.
And that continues today. There's a lot of alienation. I mean, if you're, we alienate everybody every day. I mean, and I think at that time you were either on Trump or Biden. And if you were on Trump, you were an idiot. And if you were on Biden, you were an idiot. I mean, it's like we've lost that in today's culture, Serge. There's no more respect. That's gone.
It's tribalism.
No, exactly. I can't say thing one about a particular topic because the minute you do, you're on that side. There's no longer a healthy debate. I can no longer say something about a topic and not necessarily believe that, but at least talk about it because then you're labeled immediately.
I'll bring up a very good point. In terms of like the dynamic, the tribalism that just affects everything and everyone. We're hardwired to be tribal in terms of once you feel you belong to a certain tribe, like the interests of the tribe are your own, the views of the tribe are your own. And there's sort of there's no compromise and there's no wiggle room. And I think that both sides, Democrats and Republicans, have fallen into that trap.
Absolutely.
In that we're not perfect. Our side's not perfect. The other side's not perfect. And like, I'll just bring up this particular episode, this instance, because we've talked about it on our breaks during Beyond the Headlines and stuff. This Hunter Biden issue that is very real and it's concerning. Yet I feel that my side is like, well, since it's about us and the Bidens and he's innocent and we're not going to talk about it and the media shouldn't be paying that much attention to it and the Republicans because they talk about it on Fox News. That means it's fake and it's political. And it goes to the other side
but that's what you're supposed to do, isn't it? When you belong to a party, that's what you're supposed to do, isn't it?
Well, I think that you identified a problem that to me, it's becoming more and more evident in that, like, hey, we lose moral standing if we act like we accuse the other side of acting. And I think both sides are guilty of it. And this Hunter Biden issue is like, no, man, like it deserves scrutiny. I think that we've passed the litmus test. They just appointed a special counsel. The guy became a special counsel, and it stinks to high heaven. and this guy is, I mean, it's unfortunate, but at the same time, he shouldn't get a free pass. And it's a big problem in general.
It's interesting that you recognize that, though, because there's a lot of Democrats that I don't think would.
Well, I think that's the issue is that we get blinded by groupthink.
And we treat our party, and I'm not gonna say our party because I'm not in any one particular party, but people treat their party like it's a family. They defend it like it's a family. It's like, no, defend your family. Don't defend your party. I mean, and kind of again, just thinking about what you said about the networks, God forbid somebody sees me on the Fox News website, at work. I shouldn't have said that. But if you look at my next tab, it's MSNBC. If you look at my next tab, it's CNN. If you look at my next tab, it's AP. If you look at my next tab, it's, I forget what else I look at. I look at all of them. I don't just look at Fox News. And that's what drives me crazy.
There's a lot of people that just look at Fox.
You've got to look at them all, Serge, because we all know they've all got their leanings, their agendas, whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to look at Fox News and say, I'm going to see something on Fox News, and I'm going to go check to see if it's on MSNBC.
Verify it.
Is it on CNN? Where else am I? Drudge Report. I follow Drudge Report. Where am I going to find these stories? That's what you should be doing, not sticking to one network.
Of course.
And saying, okay, this has got to be true then. If we're not questioning that, then that's part of the problem now. And that's why we have a lot of this alienation.
It's a huge part of
people
the problem.
Stick to, sorry, I only saw it here. This is the truth.
Exactly. No, I agree, man. And it's sort of, it's, I think it's refreshing to, I think that it should be refreshing to say, okay, man, I believe I'm a hardcore Democrat. I believe in what the party stands for, the policy positions, the fighting for equality and civil rights and all that. But if some of our leaders are unethical or immoral, or they might have broken the law, by all means, man, let what makes this country great work, in terms of nobody is above the law, and everybody, if there was wrongdoing, they should go through our criminal justice system, and if they did wrong, they should pay the price. And
but I also think we need to remember that people are innocent until proven guilty.
Of course, completely.
That's another problem in this country. It's like, that's it, he's guilty.
Well, sometimes you get crucified by the media.
I mean, that's why I'm staying away from it now, because it's just, these are all just observations. They don't consume my life. They're just little things that I notice. I'm going to worry about In Search of Miracles for now, in my faith, and getting to heaven, because I think that's the better bets.
You've been in your background on radio and stuff. Did you interview people a lot? Like, was that the gist of your radio career, or how would you describe it?
I mean, I've interviews here and there, but it wasn't the gist. I mean, my radio career started in Austin.
Okay.
And it's a little known fact. I didn't get into radio because I wanted to be in radio. Okay. I got into radio because I wanted to be a Tejano DJ.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was a senior at St. Edward's University, and you needed to have an internship before you graduated. So my fall semester, I graduated in December of '92. That fall semester, I was required to do an internship. So I did an internship at a KTXZ 1560 in Austin, and it was Tejano. Yeah. Because I had been hanging out, our friends, we'd been going to Tejano shows. We would go to, I don't know if it's still there, that Gardens, there's a Gardens, an outdoor facility there in Austin. Okay. We would go, and there was this man by the name of Joe Morales. He still does the voice for Z93. Really? And that guy would get up on stage, and he has this voice that I was like, I want to be that guy. He was a Tejano, they were all Tejano, and I just loved Tejano music. So I got into radio because of Tejano music.
Who were like the stars?
Back then?
Yeah. Like, you were a big Tejano fan because
this was the heyday of Tejano. It's no longer what it is then. I mean,
really,
you're talking about early 90s, late 80s is really when it was I would say late 80s to early 90s, it was in its heyday. I mean, it was, and it started growing and growing, and then it just kind of fell. But who?
Because I at that point, I was too young.
Emilio Navaira. I mean, Selena started breaking onto the scene. I actually... so there was a Meadows that's used to be on the outskirts of Austin. It's now a strip center, and it sucks that I have a horrible memory, because it was a very well known Meadows. Sting performed there, and I remember I got up on stage and introduced La Fiebre or Little Joe. I don't know. Okay. I got to bring on, when you introduce a group, you come up on say, hey, welcome, whatever, I'm from whatever. Now here's Selena, whatever. So I remember introducing Selena at a club, bringing on Little Joe, interviewed Tejano artists. Now, when I started doing country music with Luis, and my radio journey is a whole other topic, but I got to meet some country artists because we would do the St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. The Radiothon started off as a country thing because Randy Owen from Alabama, Randy Owen or Owens, the founder of Alabama, the country group, he started Radio Cares for Kids for St. Jude. And so in 1996, we did our first Radiothon at Y95 and raised money for St. Jude. So I got to travel to the hospital at least 4 times and and they would have a day where there would be country artists there. So I met Faith Hill, the Dixie Chicks. I've interviewed wrestlers on 94.9 when it was when we were playing rock. On the digital news desk, I interviewed Eva Longoria because she was stumping for Biden, if you recall. Yeah, so I've Rhea Ripley. I mean, there's been a lot of interviews, but it wasn't what I did. I mean, my DJ days was about music.
Did you know? I had no idea, man, that you were a Tejano fan.
Yeah,
that's how
I still am. That's how I got
because you have a voice.
Thank you.
A radio voice, I guess we used to call them. I guess, right?
25 years in radio.
But I mean, did you say I'm gonna go into the radio because I have this voice?
No,
no,
I didn't know I had a voice.
No,
it wasn't at all about that. And then as the years progressed, I came back to Laredo, and you can't stick to one format if you want to be in radio all the time because things change. And so I had to learn, well, I can't do Tejano anymore. Now I got to do this. Okay, here's a little known fact. I'm going to blow your mind. Okay. Did you know that Luis and I did a talk show on talk radio? 1490?
I do. I've heard people mention it. And
did you know that I did a show with Meg Guerra?
That I did not know.
Yeah.
That I did not know.
Yeah.
I'm a very big fan and admirer of Meg.
Did a show with Meg Guerra.
Really?
Back on 1490.
Wow, man. How did that
Every
go?
time I see George Alcala, I say, hey, tell your mom hi. Remember we did a show together. I don't even remember. Don't ask me how it went. I don't remember. But I'll never do talk radio again.
Why is that?
No, I was.
Oh, you're doing it right now.
Well, I guess, yeah. But I'm not having to put the show together. I'm just talking because I sucked. I hope Luis doesn't mind me saying, I think we sucked.
But
it's not as easy as it sounds. I mean, you've got to actually have stuff to talk about and do the legwork. And I mean, you're talking about getting a show going for an hour on nothing but talk.
Well, I mean, that's how I got started.
And if you don't get callers, then you've got to continue to talk.
Yeah.
A podcast is different because you get to dictate everything.
Yeah, but once you're live, you're live.
I sucked. I thought I sucked. I didn't like it. I wouldn't do it again. Now, if you were to tell me, can you do a talk show about your faith? Yeah, I probably could.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's definitely not easy, man.
No, it's not.
It looks easy.
I mean, I don't know how to explain it. I'm talking about like a radio station, not, I'm talking about if somebody tells you, Sergio, you've got to be on the air for 2 hours.
Well, I did that.
On radio?
With Jay St. John for 3 years. I mean, that's how I picked it up.
That's true.
And for 2 years, it was me and Jay, and then his mother got sick.
Yeah, I remember.
So he started leaving midweek, and I would have to
fill in
for 2
hours.
What
frequency were you on? Was it on 91.3?
94.9, I think.
No, 94.9 was where we were.
No, it was at on Calle del Norte, 99.3.
I don't know. Oh, it might have been 99.3. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So it's difficult, man, and
that was more difficult than this, don't you think?
Well, I mean, it's the same in that. Okay,
I'm not trying to diminish what you're doing here, by the way.
No. That's not how I'm taking it at all.
Okay, good.
But it's like, okay, press a button and talk. And I don't have the counter right now, but I'm pretty sure we're up there in time. And it's something that I think you pick up after a while.
No, I never picked it up. I sucked.
Well, dude, but that's what you do on Digital News Desk.
But it's different because on Digital News Desk, if I'm done in 10 minutes, I'm done in 10 minutes. If I'm done in, it's not, okay, here's the way. So when I have guests that are going to be both on the Digital News Desk and on either the morning show or the noon show, I'll tell them, I said, look, this is different because I don't have any times here. You don't see yourself. Yeah. There's nobody counting you down, 9, 8, there's none of that. When you go to the studio for the newscast, we've got 3 minutes.
Yeah.
You're in the hot seat. You've got people, a camera person. You've got people counting you down. You can see yourself on the monitor.
Multiple cameras.
Right. Yeah. It's totally different. Yeah. So I do give them a heads up. I said, you're going to be a little more under the gun in the studio and then you're going to see somebody wrapping you up. You're going to see them counting at me. I mean, 1 minute. So it's just different.
Yeah.
Digital News Desk is different. I mean, I don't go on exactly at 10 o'clock every morning. Yeah. if I'm a 10-10, I mean.
Okay, so you're saying that interviewing people wasn't the gist of your radio background.
Yeah, sorry, we kind of.
But no, but tying it in.
Mm-hmm.
But now it is.
Well, yeah.
In that you have to line up an interview every single day.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's not easy in terms of
Sometimes there's a little inconsistency on the digital news desk. But it's not every day. But there are weeks when it's every day.
Yeah, but in terms of okay, I need to come up with a topic and a guest every day. And it has to be interesting, it has to be relevant, and it has to...
I don't really want to say more about this because I'm going to get in trouble with Jerry and Luis. And
why would you?
Because they're going to realize that maybe I'm not doing what I should be doing. That's why, Serge.
Okay, we'll bleep this part out.
Yeah, exactly. No, because the digital news desk has never had a format. It's never been, okay, Ruben, you've got to do from this time to this time. Yeah. And maybe at one point it was, okay, I need to have a topic and a guest. Now it's just I'm interviewing people in the community. It's not. I've been trying to not call it the digital news desk because it's not so newsy anymore.
Okay.
Again, I shouldn't be saying all this because Jerry's going to be, really? That's what you've been doing every day? But it's because I do the morning show. I do the noon show. It's like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, you have a lot of stuff to pick from in terms of you cross pollinate with these shows, and
I get people asking
go more
me,
at depth.
And that's what it'll happen. This is what it's turned more into. So let's say we have Pillar on the morning show. Okay, let's say Manny Sanchez is there.
Yeah,
he's got 3 minutes. I will often tell a guest, hey, you want to be in the digital news desk because I can get into it a little bit more. So you can tell me more about Pillar. We can talk at length.
Of course, yeah, exactly.
So so that's really what it's become more of people wanting to talk about their organization, their nonprofit, what they do, that's what it's become more on the digital news side.
Well, but it's exploring topics at length, getting someone to open up about what they do, what they're passionate about.
At one point I was trying to keep it politics, and that was hard.
Yeah, it is.
Just having a guest and keeping it public. But remember, I would interview Eads, I would interview, the mayor. I was doing more of that at one point. I'm not doing that so much anymore.
A lot of these people aren't interesting in terms of their, in terms of they're influential. They have power. They have political power. But in front of a microphone or a camera, they're about as exciting as watching paint dry. And ultimately,
no comment. I'm not gonna say anything.
And ultimately, you want people to watch.
Yeah.
And people want to be interested and entertained, and so it's
I don't know that I concern myself enough with getting people to watch. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they do. I mean,
but I mean, I don't think I don't know that they do. I'm really uncomfortable with this topic now. I'm on KGNS News today at 6:00 in the morning. I'm on KGNS News at noon. Every once in a while, you'll see me at 10 o'clock on the app.
I think to get the insights of someone who does, because ultimately, I mean, it provides a service to the community, man. And I think it enriches people's understanding of what exactly is around them, what people are doing, what's available to them.
Yeah, and I tell you what, one thing, and then you said that, you're exactly right. I have learned about so many organizations here in Laredo that help others in so many different ways that I never knew about. I'm still learning. I didn't even know there was a Boys and Girls Club of Zapata that United Way of Laredo helps.
I had no clue.
There's so many communities and schools. I just recently learned that what they do. So that's more of what it's become for me on the digital side at 10 o'clock when I do a show. I've learned about so many organizations that help. It's amazing. So to me, that's more of what it's become. And that's what I've been trying to do. If I can help others, that's another thing. When you're helping others is when you're feeling best, I think.
Of course.
If you can help others, it helps you feel a lot better. One thing you didn't ask me about, Serge, and I know we don't have time, but a big part of my life has been my mental illness.
Okay.
So that's a whole other topic. But I was diagnosed with in Austin in 2006 with bipolar disorder type 2, generalized anxiety disorder, and I have severe ADHD. And so that's been a big part of my life. And it's one thing that I've tried to do throughout my career is talk about it, because as a Hispanic, as a male, we don't talk about it. And so that's another aspect of my life that I've tried to use my platforms to talk about it. And I've never shied away from talking about it, because if I don't, who is, you know?
I think that's very brave of you. And I think that it is something that, yes, in our culture, the stigma is more pronounced than in other cultures, the Hispanic, the male. The statistics are overwhelming in terms of it afflicts a lot more people than is usually recognized or understood. And I think that it definitely should be more talk about this. And I think that every time you do talk about it, I think that a lot of people are identify with it, empathize with it, and are grateful for you doing so.
Thanks, Serge. And when people say, "Oh, you're brave for doing that," I don't even think that. I just think I have to talk about it. It's my responsibility to talk about it, because God has, for whatever reason, introduced that into my life, and it's necessary for me to talk about, so that others know that they're not alone. They're not the only ones. I mean, I've got stories on end that I could share with you about my mental health that just, and every time I do it, Serge, I open myself up, because there's people that that guy's crazy, man. He's an idiot. You know, I open myself up. I mean, every time I talk about mental health on social media, to criticism, because there's people that just do not believe that mental illness is a thing, and that I'm just looking for attention. And I've been told that, you just want attention.
I think that is I think that's obviously wrong and misguided.
But it's out there. That's what's out there.
It's out there, but I think at the same time we're living in an era where it's rapidly changing.
It is.
It's rapidly changing. It's becoming more accepted and more understood.
I gave a talk at TAMIU. They invited me to go speak during Mental Health Awareness Week, and I'm seeing more young people, and I'm hearing that more young people are seeking help.
Yes.
And that's a good thing.
That's a great thing.
There's no reason somebody should die by suicide.
Of course.
It's just, it hurts me every time I hear of a high celebrity suicide. And every time there's a high celebrity or a high profile suicide, I want to talk. I want to say something, because I want people to know.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating.
Of course.
When there's a high profile suicide, because people just don't understand.
It's very real, man.
It is. And every time, I swear, and there have been times where somebody has died by suicide, and I will go on social media and I'll talk, because people need to know that, I mean, it's happening, and I wish it wouldn't happen, and here's how you don't let it happen. I mean, my mental illness has been with me, and it's been a lifelong journey, but it's also part of who I am and why I am what I am. So I've had to accept all of that. I'm okay with all the criticism. Yeah, sometimes it bothers me, but at the end of the day, there's a certain someone that hates that phrase. At the end of the day, if I can help one person, then it's okay. I mean, then let everybody criticize me. Let them criticize me for my faith. Let them criticize me for my mental illness and speaking out about it. Let them criticize me. If I can help one person, then that's okay.
Well, I think that you bring up in terms of God, how the Holy Spirit works through you to help others. I think that is a big aspect of it, in terms of you're a public person. A lot of people know you. A lot of people listen to you, and for you to use that to help people with mental health struggles, I think that it goes hand in hand with your evangelizing.
I hadn't thought about it. I had not thought about it that way. And I think probably the mental illness and the mental health aspect is where I feel like I've done less, because it's just not cut and dry. Psychiatry is not,
Jesus, man.
There's not a broken arm where you're going to put a cast on it. And I feel like I've never done enough for on the mental health side, because it's just so confusing and so vast. So that's why I don't always. I mean, I just the one message I have when I talk about mental health is that you're not alone. There are people out there thinking just like you, and you are not alone, and you need to know that, and there's help out there.
I think that that's a very powerful message. I think that that's what people need to hear.
Yeah. It is, Serge, because I've been there. I've been there like, how can I be thinking this? Why am I feeling like this? I'm the only one in the world. You're not the only one in the world.
Not at all, man.
And I've made phone calls to hotlines. I have, done what is necessary. And I want people to know that they can do that too. Now, I also want you to know that it's not going to be an overnight fix. This is a process. I mean, if you've got behavioral health issues, it's a process. There's no quick fix.
No, man. But there needs to be awareness of it, and like it's something that afflicts a large segment of the population. These are usually the symptoms, and because a lot of people don't understand that they are under the grip of a mental illness. And they don't, their mind doesn't even go there. Like, hey, maybe this is not my circumstances. Yeah. Maybe this is my mind being overactive and pessimistic to an extreme degree. And a lot of people self-medicate or look for ways to like distract, to deaden the suffering, which is what it is. You're torturing yourself. Your mind is torturing yourself.
Been there.
And so people need to make that distinction. Is like, no, my life out here is not the issue. My life in here is the issue. And
there are chemical imbalances that you have no control over in some cases that need to be addressed. And it's not, oh man, it's not, pull up your bootstraps. It's not, snap out of it. No,
completely.
It's not. If you ever tell anybody that, please.
Toughen up, buttercup.
Yeah. No, I mean, gosh. I mean, I understand about, not wanting people to be overly sensitive and things like that. But there are times when it is just not the right thing to say to somebody, pull up your bootstraps.
Where our culture, you brought it up. Our culture definitely does not help.
My own family, I mean, and my dad, I mean, just couldn't grasp that there was something going on with me, that's just the way it is. And I don't blame anybody. I don't blame people for thinking some way about somebody because they don't know. But that's where we're supposed to educate ourselves. But don't judge anybody ever, ever, ever. I work on that every day. I don't want to judge people because I don't know what's going on in their head. If somebody is bitter on a daily basis, there's a reason.
Yes.
If somebody's happy on a daily basis, there's a reason. You don't judge people because you just don't know what's going on in their head.
Yeah.
But I wanted to throw that topic in there, Serge, because it's an important part of what I do, I think.
I'm so happy you did, man.
Well, thank you for allowing me the opportunity.
I think you should do more of it, man.
I think you would need to lead it because I'm not going to go out there and do it myself. Like
well, just
you know what I'm saying?
Just like, when opportunities present themselves to you to jump in and say what you said right now, I think it would be very helpful to people.
I've tried to do that. I think I have, and if you go through my Facebook, you'll see that I've talked about it many a times, and I don't know if it does any good, but like I said, if it helps one person, that's what it's about.
That's what it's about, exactly. Well, Ruben,
wait, ask me what my purpose in life is.
What is your purpose in life, Ruben?
To get to heaven, Serge. Okay, now you can wrap up.
Ruben, I really enjoyed this conversation, man. Thank you for agreeing to come on. We went
we're all over the place.
All over the place.
I'm working on a show or something. I don't know why we're here. And by the way,
that was just to get you in the door.
Oh, I got you. All right. Well, in search of miracles, if anybody has a story that they want to share or knows of somebody that would like to share a story, contact me. I'm on social media, Ruben Villarreal. I've got 2 Facebook pages, one for KGNS, one personal, but it's public. I mean, you can access. You can send me messages, ruben.villarreal@kgns.tv. I'd love to hear from you, Serge. If you know of anybody. If you have a miracle in your life, maybe you might want to share. Let me know, and I'd love to have you on. And let's provide hope for others. And God bless you for what you do. I mean,
likewise.
You are very much admired in this community, and I appreciate what you do, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to do this.
Thank you, man. I enjoyed it. I knew you were going to have a lot of very interesting things to say, man.
Well, I don't know if they were interesting, but I had a lot to say. By the way, please pray for me. That's all. I'll pray for you. Just please pray for me.
Definitely.
Yes.
I knew that the Miracles podcast was to get you in the door. I knew we were going to have a lot of fun today, man. Thank you, Ruben Villarreal. Catch us on Beyond the Headlines. Well,
every other Sunday.
This is probably going to come out after Sunday, but every Sunday, it's a really fun show. The KGNS app is on Fire Stick and Roku.
I have no idea. We're out there some ways that I don't even know.
YouTube, because a lot of people don't.
No, I know. Somebody told me, "Oh, I watch you on Hulu every morning."
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
A lot of people. I didn't know KGNS was on Hulu. Yeah, because a lot of people are ditching the cable box.
Oh, a long time ago.
Younger generations. I know that I don't have a cable box, man. A lot of people ask me, how can I watch? I don't have cable. Well, there's all these options that
you can always go to the website, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, the website does stream live.
So KGNS.tv. Yeah. Well, but I don't know. We archive them Beyond the Headlines. No, but we do stream them. I don't know. Go to the website.
Go to the website. You'll find out.
Google Beyond the Headlines.
Google Ruben Villarreal.
Laredo, Texas.
Laredo, Texas.
Ruben Villarreal.
That's true. Ruben, thank you so much.
God bless you, Serge.
Everybody, thank you for tuning in. We are going to be ramping up. I know that I've said this, but I think that come election times, we have no choice. There's stuff going on.
Yeah.
And as you know, election season is upon us once again. People are already campaigning. So we're going to be obviously talking a lot about that and a lot about other subjects in general, like Ruben today. We barely touched politics. We talked about everything under the sun. Everything but a very interesting, insightful conversation. Okay, that does it for us. We'll see each other again very soon. On behalf of Frontera Radio, may God bless you. May you have a good night.